Awesome YouTube people! So today we're going to cover basically 4 things, maybe with an extra thrown in on the tail. And it all surrounds Tru-Oil. I have asked and looked around on Facebook, and I don't seem to be able to come up with answers to some of these. So I figured I'd just experiment, give it a try, and then share those tips, tricks, secrets, whatever with you. So this is kind of, I don't know, a little strange, but I personally don't use ArmourAll in my car. However, I've heard rumors that you can use ArmourAll to make each coat dry faster. So we're going to try that, demonstrate it, and see how it works. Okay, can you use Tru-Oil itself with, say, 600 grit on natural wood to create a sealer? And my biggest thing is can you shoot Tru-Oil through an airbrush down on not only natural wood, but on paint and water-based paints as a clear coat? So can you shoot it? So lastly, the thing that I think we all kind of struggle with, especially beginners in the beginning and all that, is the clear coat. So we're going to take our finished product, assuming that the airbrushing works, right, that the ArmourAll works, that the sealer works, and all that stuff. And then we're going to buff it to a high shine and kind of get a look at, hey, is that enough shine? I personally want to know, hey, if I can do a custom paint job on a guitar and use Tru-Oil and buff it to a high gloss shine mirror finish, I'd be a happy camper. So hey, stick around. And so here's what we're gonna do. We've got this piece of wood. Okay, I've sanded the wood to 500 grit, just 500 grit right now. And then I went ahead and I painted this piece of wood, right, using Glidden's all surface, great paint, by the way, for a sort of base primer coat. Put 2 coats of that on, right? Then I put 2 coats of Createx green over as I masked it off. So we have a painted surface with water-based paint. Okay, so underneath the water base, we have the oil base, but water-based paint. Okay, so we've got her masked off. We're going to go ahead and start with our Tru-Oil. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little pad of this 600 grit and we're going to put it on the wood and rub her in and see how it goes. Couple of safety things. You don't have to, but wearing gloves is a really good idea because it is a solvent-based product, so something to keep in mind. Keep a window open too. It's I don't know how hazardous it is to your health, but one thing's for sure is it doesn't smell very good. Notice I've kind of masked this off so we don't get any on the paint side. We're not quite ready for that one. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Okay, I think I'm gonna grab another piece here and we'll tops can get kind of grungy on these. I've seen guys like poke a hole in the center of the foil and use it as a pour thing. I didn't do that, but I'm just gonna focus a little bit more on these repairs right here. So I'm just gonna put a little bit right on that repair, like that, and rub it in. Maybe just a teeny bit more. Now I'm using a brand new fresh piece of 600 grit. Okay, I'd say that's pretty soaked down. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of run it over it and get all the little bung dings and all the little clots and stuff like that off of it. Okay, and then give you a nice close-up little look. See there. First coat, 600, gritted in. And from my view here, I can see that it's having an effect using the sandpaper. It really is. It's definitely having an effect. Meaning it's filling the grain. Be nice to be able to work with wood with one product and not have to use a grain filler and a sealer and all that stuff to get started with. What's really curious is about these repairs here. Interesting. Okay, so let's move on. Now one of the big shall we call it, what shall we call it? The big revealings is we'll set our Tru-Oil aside over here. And I know there's probably some scientific way to figure out how much to use, but seeing as how it's got a nice spray tip on it, I'm just going to go ahead and hit it and rub it in. Just like that. Cool little shop towels. You can get them at Walmart. We did, I think it was like 12 bucks for like 600 feet of it. Really neat. It really is cool. So I'm just gonna wipe that off and see how we did. I don't know if you're supposed to keep wiping it off or whatever. I really never done this before, so we're just seeing if how fast it'll dry up. The one guy I saw that demonstrated this said he literally did it right after he put the Tru-Oil on, and he said it was about 2 minutes that it dried. And from looking at it, it's drying really fast. I'll bring it up so you can see it. That sheen on top of the wood is gone. Isn't that interesting? So we may have a winner here. I don't know if I would use, and we'll have to figure out as we go along, I don't know if I would use the ArmourAll in the long run, like when you get close to doing those last couple of finishes to flash them off. I don't think I'd do that. But definitely, look at that, in the time that it took that we're sitting here jawing. And notice here too, it's a little shinier on the repair than it is actually on the wood. It's drying really fast, so we're just gonna do 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 do. As far as I can tell, it's ready for another coat, folks. Yeah, let's just go ahead and put another coat on. Okay, so we've obviously had to change our setup a little bit here. So far what I've done, and off cam, is I've just cleaned this up with a little naphtha, And yes, you can use naphtha on a water-based paint. It's a different. This, I don't understand all the science, but it works. So I've got me some naphtha. I got me a little cup, and we're gonna mix up some Tru-Oil and move on with the next part of this, which is, can we shoot Tru-Oil through an airbrush? I'm guessing most people would say, no, you can't do that. Well, it just so happens that I have an inexpensive airbrush that came with my compressor, and I'm more than willing. So let's put some, oh, we don't have much of that left. Yeah, we'll have to get another bottle. Big deal. I'll set that aside. And as you can see in the bottom, it's kind of clumped together a bit. So we'll take our naphtha, grab that, and I think I'm going to start with like a 50-50. So not super scientific measuring, but let's go for like a 50-50 here. Just put in about equal as much naphtha and thin it out. Then I'll have to take a look at it and see if it's actually going to shoot or not. That just comes from experience. So we'll set that one behind there. Get ourselves a little stir stick and stir it. Now you don't want to shake this stuff because it kind of creates bubbles. So we'll see what happens here. See if it breaks that up and all. Now if it doesn't break that up, that clump, then we're going to have to take that clump out, because we certainly don't want that trying to shoot through an airbrush. I think what we're going to do is filter it. So I got some 110 micron filters that I use with my water-based paints and everything through my gun. So let's just cheapo Harbor Freight 110 micron filter. Okay, so here we go. We've got our filter, got a little cup. See if we can do this without making a big mess. And we'll just filter it out. We'll filter out all that gunk. I would like to remind the folks at this time, there's no smoking in the studio while you're doing this, because this is a solvent base and it is flammable. And normally I would put my mask on, but if I'm going to be talking to you while I do it, okay, so I'm not gonna. So we're gonna load it up into our airbrush. See how it does. About a half cup. Oh my, that's way too much. We don't need that much. Okay, we'll get our standard paper towel. This is always a good way to figure out if you're going to be able to shoot what's in your. Yeah, that's coming out. Oh yeah, very thin, but it's coming out. All right, let's give her a go. Let's see what happens. Whoop. Yeah, you definitely want to wear a mask with this one. Buy an inexpensive mask at Amazon. Well, you can tell by just looking at it that it's darkened up a bit. I am going to put my mask on because this could be hazardous to my health. All right, got my mask on. Good idea. But I can tell you this from looking at it right now that it's dry. So we're going to go ahead and just put another coat on. Okay, looking pretty good. Not too bad. I think I'm going to refill this cup and just keep going. I'm just going to hit it with some air. That's all I'm doing right now. But it's looking like a really nice finish. Put another coat on there and I'll show you. All right, well, let's set that down for a second. Let's get a look-see here. See if we can get you to see the reflection I'm seeing in it. What did we do? About 3 coats, 4 coats maybe? Wow. I would say it worked really good on the natural side. Well, let's take a look on the painted side. Well, you can see some reflection there. Definitely. There's the light. Wow. Holy cow. Not bad. Holy cow. It really does work. Yeah, just okay, we'll change bottles and we'll let that sit a while. I don't think the ArmourAll has a nice effect in the first few coats, helping you to get those base coats in and done. But honestly, I don't need to shoot it with anything. It's got to gas off because there's naphtha in it, but my goodness, that's a great start to a good finish. And cumulatively totaled, what do we got, about less than an hour in it? Probably far less if we backtracked. And on the paint side of things, yeah, I would say that Tru-Oil definitely works. And of course, this is just a preliminary coat for the paint. We've only hit it a couple, 3 times. A couple more coats of that, and we could probably just put the polisher on it and get it nice and high gloss. So it works. I'm shocked. Okay, well, it's really shiny. Let's see if we can tilt it up a little bit there. Really shiny, but it's still got some dull spots in it. Get that out of the way. Move it over so you can see it in the light. But it did a darn good job of putting just a reasonably nice shine on there. But that's not what I was looking for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Maguire's Ultimate Compound, and I'm going to take a light, medium, light color, medium foam pad, and then we'll just hit it once, not very much, just to scrub it up, and then we'll try a polish over the top of that. Alright, let's pop this off, move this over. Now, don't use the same rags that you're going to use. So we're going to have a separate clean rag for cleaning off our compound. So let's get that nice and straight. And we'll hit it with a little bit of water. Soak it in. little bit. Take a little bit of our Maguire's compound and put a bit on our board. And this is, for those that don't know, this is akin to what we call cutting our finish, which is perfectly normal with almost any kind of finish. Let's give it a shot. You don't want it to get too hot, so I'm going to dump a little bit of water on it and splatter it around. Now, I don't think I'm going to speed this one up because we kind of want to see it in real time. So we've got our fresh non-lint rag to wipe it down, and then I'll turn it so you can see it after I get the compound off. See what it looks like. Oh, there we go. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. Can you see that? Let's see if I can move it back and forth. Oh yeah. Now it's starting to, just a little bit of cutting, just a teeny bit, really, not that much. So we'll put just a little bit more moisture into our pad. Grab just a touch more here, not very much. Just, we don't have a really big project in front of us, so don't really need a lot. And we'll go ahead and we'll just do this one more time. And it's looking pretty darn shiny. Okay, let's see if I can bring it up so you can get a look at it. Now keep in mind, I didn't flat sand this all the way down. There is some grain showing through there. But wow, that looks pretty good for just a cheap old piece of pine. Right? Okay. Let's do that one more time. So we've got our compound on here. We're just going to put a little bit of moisture on it and rub it in. You don't want your wood, whether it's painted or not, getting too hot because you'll burn right through that Tru-Oil. So we're going to do this one more time. We'll put just a teeny bit more compound and rub it in. Just a touch. Really not very much at all. We don't really need very much. And there's some still on the pad from the first go round. Okay. So then we'll move our water out of the side and we'll just... Okay, then we'll just take our compound only rag and we'll just wipe her down, wipe it off. See what we're left with here. Wow. All right, there we go. That's made it a whole lot more consistent. Totally. And not too bad. Let me see if I can bring it up so you can see it. There you go. Did really nice on that wood, especially on that painted. You can see the reflections of the stuff behind there. Pretty nice. All in all, I think maybe it's time to go to polish. Okay, so let's go to the polish stage now. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that we've got all of that cleared off there. All of the compound is cleared off. All right. We'll just wipe it all down. And turn the rag inside out until we got some dry. And wipe it till it's clean. Otherwise, when we do our polish, it's going to be influenced by that compound, and we really don't want that. So there we go. Pretty clean, pretty nice. I'm going to go ahead and run a paper towel over it. Oh, it feels so smooth. So nice. Just make sure we get all of that compound off there, so when we hit it with the polish, we don't get any residual compound in the way. Okay, well, that's looking nice. All right, so we're going to strip off our... Let's go. This time, I think we'll go with the fine pad, and we will put on our polish with it instead of the buff pad, and then we'll go to the buff pad last. So let's just put a little bit of polish in there, and we'll rub it in like that. Certainly won't hurt. There we go. By the way, if you're in the market for these and you go to Amazon, there doesn't honestly seem to be a color coding. Some say blue is fine and orange, you know, is a heavy cut sponge. To me, they all feel pretty close to the same thing. So I don't think there's a whole lot of consistency in that. So we'll just get that sucker wet now. We got our polish on. Take a little bit of the polish and we'll put it actually on. Oh, that's a way too much. So I'm going to take that off, put it on our polish rag. That's way too much. All right, and then I'll just kind of rub it in with my hand. Won't hurt you. Maguire's. And then we'll go ahead and polish her up. And we'll take our polish rag. Let's just take some of this off first. Clean paper towel. There we go. And we'll take our polish rag. Looks pretty good. From here, I'll bring it up so you can see it in just a second here. In fact, I'll tilt that light up a little bit. All right, so to close this out, I mean, let's go over what we've learned, right? As we're closing out. That's pretty nice. That's a pretty nice gloss shine. For not even having really finished this piece of pine with the original sanding and stuff. Airbrushed on. It works. You can airbrush Tru-Oil. Those initial coats using the 600 to seal up the grain, it works. Airbrushing over water-based paint, it definitely works. And I think we proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that you can use ArmourAll to, especially in those initial coats, you can use that ArmourAll to help dry your initial coats, especially when you're just, grain filling. It works really good. That looks pretty nice. That's a pretty nice shine right there. When you're airbrushing, let me throw in a couple of tips. We tried 50-50, 50% naphtha, 50% paint, and it was okay, but a little light. Use a bigger tip, like a 0.5 tip, and you might even be able to shoot Tru-Oil completely and thoroughly without anything in it. You might. The best I found with the 0.35 tip to use is about 25%. 20 to 25% is about as low as you want to go as far as cutting it. I think we've pretty much covered it all. I think we'll just leave it right there. That looks pretty fantastic for an inexpensive piece of wood. Just imagine what it would look like if you had a premium wood and you were working, any kind of premium wood, and you fine sanded it down to nothing, or I should say flat, and then grain filled completely, and all with Tru-Oil. So, man, what can we say? Tru-Oil, it rocks, man. It really rocks. Hey, thanks for watching. Be sure and subscribe. Thank you.